Of the minutes of our last regular meeting, which was September 12th, 2013, which hopefully everyone has seen by now.
I'll make the motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second on the minutes as presented. Any discussion on those? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll move to the financial report. Tom?
Okay, I do not have anything unusual to report in the financial report. Of course, as you know, we make every effort to stay within the budget every month and year to date, and we pretty much do that. But if you will turn to page 3, which is actually numbered page 6 down at the bottom, just flip 3 pages, that's the September numbers. And you can see it's basically a break-even, $204.68, but it's pretty much a break-even for the month. And then if you'll turn 2 more pages, down at the bottom, that's page 8. That's the year-to-date numbers. And again, you can see net or ordinary income is basically a break-even there. $498.38. And as I said, if you go back and look at the details, there's really nothing that stands out one way or the other. We're remaining real close to the budget. And unless there's any questions, Mr. Chairman, that would be the financial report.
Any questions of Tom? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept that report as presented? Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving into committee reports. David, any report from Alton and the investment committee?
We do. We have one CD that matured. We bid them out, and the winning CD has a 0.26 interest rate.
Wow.
And that's the good news. We didn't have to pay the bank to hold our money.
The bad news is, I'm assuming that was a 1-year mature.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. As you all know, though, what Alton does with those is he's got a schedule where we ladder those out, so we have CDs maturing almost constantly within about a 90-day window of each other. So he plugs them in and bids them out based on where we need to plug one in that maturity ladder. And I think the longest we've got anything out there is probably a year by now.
Yeah.
We have gone out as far as 18 months or so, depending on the rates. Dave, long-range planning?
I have no report, Mr. Chairman.
Walk Cliff, anything from Industrial Parks Committee?
No report.
All right. Anything coming from Transportation and Chipper? Okay. Moving right along then, we will move into the Executive Director's report.
Okay, a number of FYI items, and some I think you'll find sort of interesting. On the lakes at Green Valley, just an update. We've been moving a little bit slow because we're in the pay-as-you-go part of the SPLOST. So as collections pick up, we'll be picking up a little bit, going towards trying to get our street lighting and also signage and some landscaping done. But we're working on a landscaping plan, a lighting plan. We're just not pulling the trigger yet because we're waiting. We're on pay-as-you-go. We want to make sure the collections come in. But that still is moving along. And on the University Food Technology Center, a couple of things of note. Since our last meeting, the grant of 1.9 got funded. So we have basically received $1.9 million from actually the Department of Commerce. That's what USEDA is under. And to put that in perspective for you, Kia, and they located in Troup County, got a USEDA grant, same one we applied for. And they only received $2 million for thousands of jobs and hundreds of millions in investment. We got 1.9 for our University Food Technology Center. So they were trying to send a message that they really believe in what we're doing. Ironically, we were going to do a joint press release between the University of Georgia and the Development Authority about the grant, and we still plan to do that. we thought it would be nice to get a quote from the Department of Commerce, the US EDA. So I contacted the regional representative who shot it up the flagpole, and we actually got the assistant secretary in Washington who's going to give us a quote. He said, I can give you the quote tomorrow, unless the government shuts down. Well, that next day was when the government shut down. So we've not been able to get a quote, so it looks like now we might be able to get a quote from him. So as soon as we get a quote from the assistant secretary or someone similar, we'll have a joint press release announcing the $1.9 million. And what that does too, it really starts the project of construction for the center. Athens has been waiting to see if we get the grant, because that puts the building back at 17,500 square feet, enlarges the building. They didn't want to go ahead with the project, and then all of a sudden we get $2 million more and they have to do change orders. So this is the most efficient way. So now this will really get the process going. Construction will start probably in 14, with a completion date probably early 15. So we'll keep you up to date on that. And also, Chuck and I, along with Dr. Arkin at UGA and Dr. Dick Phillips and Beatrice Cunningham, who provided some great administrative support, we took a trip up to the Rutgers Innovation Center in Bridgeton, New Jersey last week. In fact, that was why we had to postpone our meeting here for one more week. They could meet with us on Thursday of last week. And they have been, from the beginning, very open about their success, what they've been doing, how they went about doing it. And so we really spent, I guess, almost an entire day. And they actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation just for us. We did a video conference with a vice president up at the main campus at Rutgers during that day as well, and she prepared a PowerPoint. So we were doing that by video conferencing, and then we had the folks there. Actually, it was a great day. Well, Chuck, if you want to have any comments or observations you want to make?
I'd just say it was really valuable to see firsthand what we've only known for the last 15 years, somewhat visually or conceptually. This center started in 1998 in its conceptual phase and has been open since 2008 in its current facility. And it really helped to bring some clear focus to us on how companies utilize that facility. It also, one of the encouraging things was we will have some distinct, I won't call them competitive advantages, because I hope that we're going to have a collaborative relationship with this center at Rutgers, not a competitive relationship. But we will have some competitive advantages by virtue of our proximity to a major metropolitan area like Atlanta, our proximity to Hartsfield Airport, and then also our access to major interstate highways. The center that we saw in Bridgeton is literally, if there's such a thing in the most densely populated state in the nation, the middle of nowhere. Bridgeton is a highly agricultural area of South New Jersey, and the director of the center, as well as staff there, admitted that one of the challenges they have with getting people into their center is its geography, and the fact that moving product in and out of their center when companies come in to manufacture is more challenging than what folks will experience. In fact, they pointed that out to us. We didn't actually note that. They said to us in their presentation, and we have looked at your center and we're jealous of the transportation infrastructure that you guys will enjoy. So it's a great day. I went really not knowing what we were going to accomplish, whether we were going to walk in and they were going to look at us like, well, okay, you guys are here, what would you like to learn? But instead it was the opposite of that. They put a lot of effort in making our day very productive, starting out with the video conference, going through the full-fledged plant tour, letting us see 2 companies that are in their incubator right now, functioning and how that works, as well as then spending the balance of the afternoon having some great practical discussion on how they operate their Food Innovation Center. So it was a very worthwhile day.
It really was, and a couple of things that were interesting to us is you start talking about jobs. Well, how many jobs has your center created? And interestingly, they don't track them probably as closely as we will. And they said, hundreds. But we found out, and the whole point of this is to either incubate new companies or either to take existing companies and sort of put them in an innovation mode, help them develop a new product or fix an existing product, those kinds of things. And it's the jobs, so you think, okay, so these new jobs are created. Well, they actually go visit every food manufacturer in the region. And it's a large region. New Jersey is not a wide state, so you can cover a lot of territory in that time. And they visit with all these food manufacturers, and actually, we pointed out to them, well, you're really working to save jobs as well as creating new jobs. So that's something else here that UGA would be thinking about now, is how can we go out with the food manufacturers and help preserve jobs around, because the point of this is to create jobs, because so many food companies are failing every year.
And you might say, well, how do they do that? Well, probably the biggest error they had in their quiver was their quality assurance expertise. They go out to these companies and they assist them with their cleanliness training. They assist them in preparing for their regulatory inspections. They assist them with safety training, all the things that they've got to keep up to date and in compliance. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in operation. And this expertise coming out at a very reasonable cost to these companies allows them to stay there versus risking a big shutdown. I mentioned one other thing, David, if I could, about the job creation, because this, to me, what little bit I understand about food technology, this was one thing that I had always hoped would be an opportunity with our own Food Technology Center. And that is bringing a company into the community that needs help with a food product, refining that process, and then them actually building a manufacturing facility within the community to produce that product. And they have a great real-world story of that with a, I believe it's German-based. I know it's European-based, but I believe it's German-based baking company called Shar Baking that had come to the U.S. wanting to set up its first U.S. production facility and begin to sell its product in the U.S. This Food Innovation Center at Rutgers is a member of some sort of national alliance of business incubator programs. So this national association was aware that Rutgers had this facility specific to food. So they literally handed off this company to the, sorry about that, to this, to the folks at Rutgers. They brought in their recipes and their processes, which were all, I'm going to use the term, Eurocentric, meaning that they were relevant to being done in the European environment. Either the raw material was stuff that was easily sourced in Europe, or something about the process was uniquely European. They took the recipe, or they took the recipes, they took their processes, and then helped them identify how to source those materials domestically and what changes they would need to make to their processes so that those materials they were sourcing domestically would work in the U.S. environment, and then they would end up with the same quality product that they were producing back home in Germany. So they came in, they did that, and then they literally decided to locate their plant 30 miles from this food incubator at Rutgers. So brand new manufacturing facility, 30 miles away, 60 initial jobs. They gave us the capital investment number, I cannot remember what it was now, to build their facility. Based upon the description, I would guess it was probably a $20 million-ish type project, it sounded like. So tremendous, great real world success story that I think hammers home how big this thing is. I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity for our community, and one that would not have happened had it not been for the tenacity of the Development Authority, and I'm gonna say it even though he's gonna hit me afterwards, particularly David's vision for this and determination to find this funding and keep this alive. So it was again a great day to see what has been a dream or a concept that this authority has been following for 15 years now, to actually see a 20,000 square foot facility doing what we just talked about for a while.
One thing, can I say something, David? I've served on this board, I guess, presently, continuously, longer than anyone here. And I can remember back when all of this came about, this conversation, and how we worked with it, and we just put the authority's money, which is the money of the citizens of Spalding County. You know, we earmarked that money and we let it sit there for many years. And for this to come to fruition, I mean, this is major, this is big. And a lot of times we make announcements, and because it took so long, it's a slow, tedious process, you know, we don't realize that we could back up and look at it, then fast forward, you can see how tremendous this accomplishment would be for this community. And once again, I like to echo what David and Chuck have said, for the present board, the administrative staff here, the chairman, and all those previous members, along with the county manager, the city manager, and all of those board members that have served the city of Griffin and Spalding County for that period of time, because this is a major accomplishment, and I think it deserves a round of applause, because this has been a great accomplishment for us.
Two quick things, and then we'll move on from the food center. We did ask them how they went about trying to attract companies into the center, what marketing they did. Did they work closely with the local development authority? A couple of interesting points. They do trade shows, and they do some joint marketing with the state. Those are two things that actually we had negotiated with UGA in Athens about us being able to do, so we feel like we're right on target with maybe the best ways to go after food companies. They had one other advantage we hadn't really thought about. Chuck mentioned it a little bit. They hired a director from Oregon State, which also has a program, and he apparently is very well connected. So they get a lot of phone calls. And also through this National Business Incubator Association, they get phone calls because they're one of the first that happen to be doing it right. And we asked them, well, how closely did they work with their local authority? And actually they started asking each other, they weren't sure they had one. They said, well, I think we have one, but so apparently they don't work very closely with their local authority, so we at least are already ahead a little bit in that respect. But their center is really well thought out. And there's some things that we gained knowledge from. Would you build this wall that way again? No, we'd put it 10 more feet, or we would do this and that. So we really learned from some of their mistakes. Now the fun part about it is you may be thinking, well, what kind of products have they done? And they had this sort of counter with samples of things they have done. They have developed a peach cider. They do grow peaches in New Jersey. We won't compare them to Georgia. But they
Let me
do.
add an irony on that, right? They grow peaches in New Jersey, but they do not have a peach processor. So the peaches that went into this peach cider that is now being bottled in New Jersey, the peaches are grown in New Jersey, they're trucked to Peach County, Georgia, processed, and then trucked back to New Jersey to be turned into cider.
So there's semi-Georgia, but not the peaches. The peaches are all New Jersey. There's also a major label soup company headquartered in New Jersey, and they did assist this soup company, you can figure out who it is, with an additional soup. So they had that up there. And also, we noticed some energy snacks, some energy drinks, wine, and then there are also two people, just two people, that come in and they make these handmade chicken pot pies. They call them artisan pot pies. Of course, if you put the word artisan in front of it, as Finnezy knows, you can add the price, run the price up a little bit more. And the center furnishes labor, so they don't even count the jobs they create right there in their own center. They're hiring people, part-time and full-time, to come in to assist these companies, like these two ladies that do the pot pies. And also, there was a meatball company. The meatball company is so sensitive about their special meatballs that they didn't even want us walking by the window while they were in there.
We literally had to do this little number when we walked by.
They said they're very sensitive about anybody even looking in the window, and you couldn't tell what they were doing. They were processing and doing stuff. And then they had some other, I won't say drinks, non-alcoholic, but a few other things they had done. But it was kind of interesting seeing some of the, they had several coffees they had helped develop. So it was interesting to actually see products, some of which you may recognize, and some are not. That's the whole point, taking entrepreneurs. And of course, they had salsas. I think everybody is developing salsa around the country. And we had one here in Griffin. So that's really an update on that center. It was a really great trip. And then Chuck and I joined Dr. Arkin and Dr. Phillips this week on the UGA radio show here, just to sort of go over our trip and go over the center and bring an update there. One of our, now getting into some of the projects, may have been a year ago where we worked with the county and the city in trying to get Spalding County out of the non-attainment area air pollution, and we did. Well, as government bureaucracy would have it, there's also another particle, I forgot what they call it.
Particulate count.
Particulate matter count that you can also be in a non-attainment area. And so Spalding County, I believe, is going to pursue getting us out. They called and asked what we thought about it, and I thought it was a great idea. What I'd like to do is just get a vote from the board supporting Spalding County's initiative to keep Spalding County out of that non-attainment particulate matter region.
And I assume everyone understands the importance of that, but that is an issue with certain companies as they're looking at locations, whether you are in or out of the non-attainment area. So,
And that will be on the county commissioner's agenda Monday night, so we really would like support from this group.
I move that we do.
so we have a motion to support the county's effort in having us basically excluded from the non-attainment area. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, now on a couple of project-related matters. We've had the one chemical company we've talked about for at least a year or more, and they actually visited the community October 3rd and 4th, and which we hope is not going to be the last meeting. They have been here 5 times, I bet. They have visited more than anyone before making a decision. The state is going to be in their country next week, and they will be visiting with the CEO, and we believe the governor will also be with them. So they'll be visiting that CEO, and we hope the company is getting close to a decision. They're looking at a site in the lakes, and we want to thank William for helping get some Spalding County department heads to help meet with us. They really went through 2 days of totally detailed questions. And I didn't know equipment could carry so many different stamps from so many different organizations, and they wanted to make sure it was okay with Spalding County. The folks did a really fine job meeting with the company. Another company from the same country visited at the last, we made this announcement at the last meeting. They visited 4 states and 25 communities during that 2-week period, they were visiting us. And at the end of that period, they selected the lakes as the site they wanted to locate. Their parent company, whose name you would know,
And they will know when we win this.
that's right, happened to have a plant in Texas. And that plant in Texas has available acreage. It happens to be a brownfield site, which means it's contaminated with something. And the government has declared it a brownfield site, meaning before you can build on it, you'll actually have to clean it up. Unless you want to take the risk and build on your own property on a toxic site. So they're forcing this company to actually do a feasibility study of putting their plant on the site in Texas. That's what's going now. If that study comes back and says, yes, it's feasible to do it in Texas, they will go to Texas. The site is there. They'll be next to a sister plant. If it doesn't, then there's a strong likelihood that facility will come here as well. They're sort of into industrial textiles, I guess that's a good way to put that one. We've had one project for the NACOM building, Project Sun, which we've talked about, that we were a finalist, and we were going to end up probably losing this one. Well, we're going to tell you who it is today so you'll know, and we're going to explain, give you a little more detail, which we have found out more information about it. This was for the NACOM building. They just announced going to Hodges, South Carolina. They're going into a 525,000 square foot facility. NACOM is about 510,000 square feet. NACOM is 3 buildings. The largest building is a little over 200,000. The 525,000 is just one building that was empty, had 4 walls, a roof, and a floor. It held their operation. NACOM would not hold their processing. The company was Colgate-Palmolive. They were going to make soft soap and a deodorant here. So it's certainly a name that most everyone would have known about. And again, I'll tell you that some of the background story on this. The company felt so strongly about our community. If you remember, the vice president of Colgate-Palmolive called me one day and said, "This is unusual, but we felt like we owed you an explanation as to why we did not come to Griffin." They said, the building just absolutely would not fit our processing. And we got moved into the backup position. Backup position in the end means you didn't get it, no matter how you talk about it. But I guess some positives that came out. He said, "We called you because out of all the communities in the U.S. that we visited, y'all's operation in Griffin was the best of any. Y'all were the most aggressive and wanted you to know that. It was very important to us. And if your building had worked, we would be in Griffin. And we felt that strongly to call you." And he said, and 2 things. 1, we want to keep you in mind for future projects. And number 2, if you ever need a company to talk to your prospects, all you have to do is call me and I'll talk to any of them. We've never had that happen with anybody. So we didn't get it. You know, not winning is not winning. Being eliminated is being eliminated. But in this case, it really was out of our hands. Nothing we can do. If the building doesn't fit, the building doesn't fit. And even when I sent Chuck a copy of I ran into the consultant at a meeting that was handling this project, who's from New Jersey. I ran into him at a meeting and he was telling me about it, and he said the press release finally came out. So I read the press release and I sent it to Chuck. And from my 30,000 feet up, it was the most non-happy press release I've ever read about, well, we're going to Hodges. They had a building that worked. And that's basically what the press release.
Yeah, I mean, basically, there were no glowing comments about the community and what a wonderful job they had done to recruit them and how happy they were to be there. It was basically, Well, we found a building that fits. That was about the extent of the press release.
And this was a building-driven project. Moving on, two more. We mentioned last week that we had one project that sort of resurrected. We had it about a year ago. We were eliminated. They didn't want to come on the south side of Atlanta. And all of a sudden, before they made their announcement, they said, maybe we should look at the south side again. So they came and visited one more time. And now we are one of the two finalists for Georgia. We are competing with 3 other states. We don't know exactly what's driving this project yet. We still know very little about it, even though we know who it is. And we're in the incentive phase. We got this yesterday, so today we have to turn in an incentive proposal. This one is also for the lakes at Green Valley. And the last, we do have another new project for the NACOM facility. And it's a pretty large project. We don't know who it is. We're not sure what they do exactly, but we're turning it in. This is kind of the preliminary stages. It's very large and a large number of jobs. And we'll keep you informed on that. So unless you have any questions, that concludes my report.
I think the one thing you can take away from there is still very, very robust prospect activity out there in the state. You're beginning to see some announcements throughout the state. So we're going to get one. It's just a matter of keeping our bait in the water. Any old business to come before us? We'll, in the interest of not making our guests from the community stick around once we go into closed session, which we'll need to do shortly here for discussion of personnel matters, let's go ahead and do our community reports. Kenny, let's start down there on the end with a report from the city.
Okay, great. Yesterday we had a great ribbon cutting at Belks. Belks, as you know, or hopefully know, just invested $1.3 million in a remodel. They added 12 employees. They've got some new lines of clothing, and they're really excited about what's going on in Griffin, and we were excited to have them on board. Piggly Wiggly, as you know, I think tomorrow may be their last day. We are in negotiations with somebody to go in that, kind of like David works with your industrial prospects. It's difficult, and a lot of it depends on the owners of that facility. Halpern Enterprises, that owns a lot of our space around Griffin, owns that space as well. And had a good talk with them yesterday while they were in town for Belks, and they know where we stand on the importance of putting, hopefully, a grocery store back in that facility. We do have a prospect, and hopefully somebody is going to attain the same employees there and be in that location, and we hope to have something coming out on that within the next 30 days or so. Kirby Risk, I don't know if y'all have been by that location lately, but that's quite a transformation. I went by the other day and I was shocked. It's the first time I had been by in a while. And I knew they got their permits, done their landscaping and renovations of the building, but just if you have a chance to go down that street and see the transformation there, that's really amazing. Commissioners will meet on Tuesday. We have a workshop on Tuesday. We're going to talk about a lot of our capital projects that we have. Right now, we're upgrading our Steel Branch Reservoir. We're doing some work at Hedge Creek Reservoir. We're going to discuss the improvements at Potato Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant that this board's involved in, and also some transportation and intersection improvements. So that'll be an interesting meeting. Of course, our commissioners will meet again on Tuesday evening at their regular scheduled meeting Tuesday night.
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks for mentioning Kirby Risk, because you're right. I mean, that's kind of one of those forgotten announcements, unfortunately, that that was a new employer to our community, and on top of that, really done a great job of beautifying that end of the city. Bonnie?
Yeah. We had our board meeting last Thursday, so it's done and over with. Identity Theft Lunch and Learn will be held on the 29th at the Welcome Center, and that is a free lunch, but you need to register, and it will be an hour, 12 to 1. We also are involved with the Griffin Area Employer Committee through the Department of Labor to have a seminar. It'll be day-long. It will be the 25th, that's next Friday, at the Welcome Center again, and it will be dealing with HR issues such as employee manuals, insurance, and some other things. The law firm out of Atlanta will be producing that seminar for us. So registration again is required, and we are preparing for our annual retreat, which will be November the 15th.
William, update from the county?
Good morning, everyone.
Good.
I want to introduce Rita Johnson to you. She's one of our commissioners. She wanted to come today and see what the Development Authority was about, and I think we're going to meet with Dave a little bit afterwards and talk about a few things, but just to orient her to what the Development Authority does, and she got some good information this morning. County Commissioners will meet Monday. We have a long day. We start in the morning with a vehicle use policy that we're going over. Then at 6 p.m. we have our regular meeting. Then next week on the 24th at 6 p.m. we'll be having our in-rem hearings on substandard housing. We, like the city, are working on substandard housing. We demolished, there were 12 on our first list, and we demolished 6 of those 12, and then the owners demolished the other 6. This list, we started with 22, and I think we're down to 17 or 18 now after the folks were notified. So we're going to have that hearing Thursday the 24th at 6 o'clock. You've probably seen, if you've ridden out in the county, a lot of patching going on. We're getting ready for resurfacing. The county commissioners led a $2.5 million resurfacing contract, and it's over 20 miles of resurfacing. That's going to be paid for with SPLOST funds. But we're out now. I think Jordan Hill, we have finished patching, not resurfacing yet. That's only patching. And they are working on North McDonough Road now. So if you're out on North McDonough, please be careful, because there's a lot of work to do on North McDonough for the patching, but in that area. David mentioned SPLOST. SPLOST collections are still 8% below our revenue estimates. I don't think that the new TAVT tax, I think it may have taken away any growth that we had, because that new TAVT tax that went into effect in March took sales tax off of automobile sales. So it not only hurts the SPLOST collections, but it hurts the loss collections as well. We have a request on the agenda Monday night for Big Blue to go on October the 28th. Some of you in here are members of the College and Career Academy. We're going to Newton County to visit their facility up there in Big Blue. That's October 28th. If you don't know what the College and Career Academy is, I invite you to come to one of our meetings and to get on that bus and go see what it's all about, because it's about helping with the dropout rate, helping folks through a career path other than college or things of that nature, and it's a good program for us. Let's see. Spalding County Water Authority meets the 23rd at 8:30, and I think that's it.
Thank you, Wade. With that, I don't believe we have any other new business. We do need to go into closed session for discussion of personnel matters. So if I could entertain a motion to go into closed session for discussion of personnel.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?